I'm joined now by Ribal Al-assad, chairman of the Organization for Democracy and Freedom in Syria. He's a controversial figure. He's also President Al-Assad's first cousin, and he's in exile here in London. Some of the supporters or spokesmen and so on of the current regime have suggested that you are behind these protests that we've seen, brave protests in Syria and so on. Did you organize part of it?
Of course not. I mean, the Syrian television channel and the Dunya channel, which also belongs to the Syrian, Syrian stooges, and Al-Manar, as you have seen, Al-Manar, which belongs to Hezbollah, and different Lebanese MPs and others. Syria has all their stooges moving around trying to blame me for what's happening. This is completely nonsense. The Syrian government should have understood, that first the people in Tunisia rose up against their dictators because they couldn't take it anymore. Then people in Egypt did the same thing. And then Libya, then Yemen. The Syrian government had time, to do reforms, to move towards reforms, but they did not. They refused to see it. They were still going on television and saying, we are different from those countries. We are not Tunisia and Egypt. The people love us, and we, they understand that we are a country of resistance. This is completely nonsense. People are very smart today in Syria. They know very well what resistance are they talking about. Syria hasn't been in a. We had the state of emergency since 1963. Since 1973, there wasn't any war, with Syria.
So in terms of President Al-Assad, who's there in the job at the moment, would you say that he is safe in his position, or would you say that he may not last another 3 months as leader of Syria?
Syria is completely different from those other countries, and as you know, Iran would never allow the Syrian regime to fall, because through Syria they control Hezbollah, they control Hamas, they control part of Iraq, they control, and it's also for them strategically very important because it's their front lines of defense.
And what about the days ahead, though? Do you think the president will survive?
At the moment, the situation is sustained, but it's not sustainable. Right. For how long? Right. For how long are they going to continue to oppress people? Is that a solution to repress your own people, or to use violence against your own people? How long is it going to last for? At the end of the day, it could last a month, 2, 3, or a year, but it's impossible. It's unsustainable. People will not accept that anymore.
So they will continue to rebel?
Of course, the people will continue to rebel. People cannot take this life anymore. People cannot live under oppression anymore, and mostly when they've seen that all people around them are, getting their freedoms.
They want the freedom themselves.
That's a normal, we are born free, and this is what people want. This is their rights. I don't understand why the regime is not understanding that. And again, when people started, demonstrating in Syria, as we all remember, they were only chanting slogans against corruptions. They wanted reforms. They were not chanting things for regime change. But of course, when you used violence against them, and we warned against that, and the regime didn't listen. When you use violence against people, people are not going to accept it. When you have a cousin or a neighbor or a friend or a brother or a father or mother, it's horrible. How could they forget that?
So that in fact, these tough measures that they seem to have opted for in the last few days, after toying apparently to go more liberal, but now they've gone down the hard line. Yes. You think that does not suppress the people the friends the people who are protesting? It increases the number of people.
Of course it increases, and it increases people to go out in the street all over Syria. There's not like one sect or one people that is, that lives better than the other. Everybody is, lives in poverty. Everybody lives suppressed. They arrest people from all sects. There are only few at the top who are taking advantage of the present regime.
So what could the rest of the world, the international community, Britain, America, France, whoever it is, what could they actually do to help now, to help the cause of freedom in Syria? What could they do to help?
They have to continue their pressure on the Syrian regime, and they have to tell them that there's, you know, those reforms that you've talked about, they have to be implemented right away. You have to allow people to participate in the political life. There has to be a government of national unity. You know, they have to have a roundtable dialogue with everybody. You know, some people would tell you there have been problems in the past. Well, the past is the past. You know, nobody's asking people to forget the past. You know, we always learned from our mistakes in the past. But today we have to forgive. We have to build the future. A future of a country cannot be built on hatred, you know, and grudges. It has to be built on love and forgiveness. That's the way we'll be able to move forward and build Syria together.
Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you very much, sir. It was a great honor to meeting you.